leper.
Arms for leper.
Arms for next leper.
Arms for a podcaster. If you like this show, please go to SOVCAST.tumblr.com. That's SOVCAST.tumblr.com. And look for the donate button. It's right there at the top. I'll just wait here while you go do that, okay? Hello? And now it's time for my science, history, and technology segment I call Cool Shit.
Cool shit. Cool shit.
This time I'll tell you about how cool your hot mother is and about living duct tape. Geothermal heating and cooling. Just imagine if you had a huge head start on the heat of the summer and on the cold of winter. Geothermal heating and cooling makes this vision a reality. Geothermal HVAC, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, takes advantage of subterranean temperatures to provide heating in the winter and cooling in the summer. You see, outdoor temperatures fluctuate with the changing of the seasons, but underground temperatures don't change as dramatically thanks to the insulating properties of the Earth. The temperature of the Earth at the 8-foot mark, on average, is a constant 58 degrees all year round. A geothermal system, which typically consists of an indoor handling unit and a buried system of pipes called the earth loop, and or a pump to reinjection well, capitalizes on these constant temperatures to provide nearly free energy. Note that geothermal HVAC should not be confused with geothermal energy, the process by which electricity is generated directly from the heat inside the earth. Geothermal energy takes place on the scale of utilities and uses different processes, normally heating water to the boiling point and then using that steam to power turbines. Now back to the HVAC systems, or the heating and cooling aspect. In winter, fluid circulating through the system's earth loop or well absorbs stored heat from the ground and carries it indoors. The indoor unit compresses the heat to a higher temperature and distributes it throughout the building, as if it were an air conditioner running in reverse. In summer, the geothermal HVAC system pulls heat from the building and carries it through the earth loop or / pump to the reinjection well, where it deposits the heat into the cooler earth / aquifer. Unlike ordinary heating and cooling systems, geothermal HVAC systems do not burn massive amounts of fossil fuel to generate heat. They simply transfer heat to and from the earth. Typically, electric power is used to only operate the unit's fan, compressor, and pump, meaning that even if it were 20 below zero, you'd only have to heat your place up from 58 degrees, instead of the aforementioned minus 20. Geothermal systems require little maintenance. When installed properly, the buried loop can last for generations. The unit's fan, compressor, and pump are housed indoors, protected from the harsh weather conditions, so they tend to last for decades. And finally, if you're worried about installing some untested, unproven, newfangled device, whether you've heard of them or not, geothermal HVAC systems have been in use for more than 60 years. So even though it's going to make me sound like a hippie, I still have to say, you need to embrace the power of the earth, man.
Cool shit.
And our next story, living duct tape. The unassuming gecko, that tiny lizard that seems to scamper around any surface in gravity-defying positions, has intrigued scientists for many years. In the past, this amazing ability has been duplicated by researchers to create wall-scaling robots, and now a team of scientists from Germany have come up with a gecko-inspired adhesive tape that can be reused thousands of times. Not impressed? How about if we tell you that a small 7 inches by 7.8 inches square piece is strong enough to handle the weight of an adult? And even more amazing is the fact that it can be stuck to any surface and even used underwater. The coolest thing is that unlike other strong adhesive tapes, it leaves no residue when ripped off because it doesn't use any classical adhesive. The reason geckos and a few other insects can walk around on any wall with little regard to gravitational pull or surface material is all to do with the thousands of tiny hairs called setae that covers their feet. The end of each tiny hair is then split further about 1,000 times at the bottom of each of the setae, and each of those has a little flat surface called a spatula, because they resemble spatulas. All these tiny hairs, each with its own little spatula, gives the gecko so much surface area that when it comes in contact with any kind of surface, that they actually interact with the force that attracts one molecule to the other. The attraction between molecules, known as van der Waals forces, pulls on them and essentially allows them to stick to any wall or ceiling. It only takes a small angled force to push CT into their on positions, and without that force, they release. That's why CT can support 50 times a gecko's body weight as it hangs from a ceiling, but does not stop the gecko from running at speeds of 20 body lengths per second. The gecko can even hang by one toe. The van der Waals force, named after the Dutch scientists who first discovered it, is the same reason little drops of water adhere to things like blades of grass and the sides of your glass when it's cool. So basically, condensation. While scientists have known the secret behind these Spider-Man-like abilities for some time now, finding a suitable material has been a challenge. Added to this was the issue of creating millions of CD-like hairs that were flexible enough to stick to any kind of surface. A silicone prototype invented by a team of scientists from the Zoological Institute at Germany's University of Kiel is the first time researchers have been able to recreate the gecko's technique. By the way, this type of technology is called, if you want to look it up, is called biomimetic technology because it mimics Mother Nature. The only drawback to this amazing tape is that it is still in experimental stages and may not be commercially available until the scientists figure out how to manufacture it at a reasonable cost, and when they do, it will have a near unimaginable change on the technologies of our daily lives. If you like this show, please go to facebook.com/SOVCAST, sovcast.tumblr.com, or twitter.com/seeker, the letter O, Veritas.